Check 1, 2.
Go! Curious about real estate?
Yes!
Then you've come to the right place. Get the knowledge you need, get over the fear, and get started. This is the Michael Quarles Real Estate Show with your host, Michael Quarles.
Hello, folks. Michael Quarles here, podcast number 9. And I wanted to touch on a little bit about how to inspect a house before you get the contract signed. So we're going to go out to the house. We've already done our 6-pack to interview the people that have either just bought or on the market to sell. We've done our second 6-pack, which is interviewing the neighbors around the house, each neighbor on each side of the subject property and the 3 neighbors across the street. So we've asked them some pointed questions about the neighborhood, the safety and the graffiti and the infrastructure, and we've asked some of the neighbors about the seller themselves. Always ask the neighbors if any of them are tenants looking to buy or homeowners looking to sell. And we are early to our appointment. On time is late, so we're there a little bit early. The seller has seen us, knocking on the door of their neighbors. We haven't spoken to all of them because you just can't. There's not enough time. They see us do that. We're walking up to the house. I'm always carrying with me a folder. Inside that folder, I have my ugliest worksheet, which is how I evaluate the repairs on a house. I have 4 sets of contracts, 2 for the house I'm going to buy, and then additional ones in case they have another house to sell. Believe it or not, people will say, I have another house if you're interested, and might as well have the contracts and agreements there with you to buy that house too. And so I've parked across the street, never in front of the house, never in the parking, never in the driveway, never on the lawn. I've knocked on the door. I've stepped back, looked up the street so they can become comfortable with me. I said, thank you for inviting me out to buy your house today. I've handed them a business card, shaken their hands, and I've asked them to show me the house. So I know at this point is the time that my presentation really begins. So as I walk through the house, and it doesn't take a long time, but there are some key components that you're going to want to see and do, and certain things that you're going to want to orchestrate into your inspection of the property so that everybody understands what your job is today, which is confirming what you know, determining what you don't know, which is what kind of repairs it needs, and getting an agreement signed. So this process is about determining what you don't know. So I'm going to ask the seller to accompany me as we look through the home. Some sellers will say, oh no, go ahead, you do it all on your own. I'll be right here when you get back, kind of thing. And to that, I never allow a seller to sit on the couch. Only one time have I allowed a seller in my entire life of all the hundreds of houses I bought to sit on the couch. And that was because they could not get off the couch. So they were in a handicapped situation, and naturally they couldn't get off the couch to accompany me. But I always want someone to accompany me, and it's never ever going to be a child. So a lot of times you'll have a seller says, hey Johnny, can you show him the house? Well, I can't negotiate with Johnny, the 9-year-old. So I want the seller there. Well, I have found the easiest way to get the seller there, believe it or not, some of them want to sit on the couch, is to have a tape measure with me. And I just ask them, can you hold the end of the tape measure? I need to measure the rooms. I do not care what size the rooms are. Don't care. Doesn't have any effect on what I want to do. But it allows me to get the seller involved in my negotiation process right from the beginning. And that's important. So I'll just, give them the stupid end of the tape, which is, the hook side, and we're gonna measure the rooms, and we're gonna go through, and I'm gonna start looking at items in the house. So typically, when you walk into a family room or an entry, you're gonna have a living room, family room kind of thing, and then one direction or the other is the garage. The other direction or the other is the living quarters, the bedrooms, the bathrooms, those kinds of things. So I'm gonna start walking down the hallway. I'm gonna look at and pause and look at the carpet. Is it rolling? Does it have to be stretched, replaced? Is it hard surface? Is it ripped? Is it scratched? Do I have to resand it, replace it? And on my ugliest worksheet are all the pieces of the house. So I can go down the hallway and I can say, yeah, carpet needs to be replaced, and I can mark that down, and I'll ask the seller, looks like the carpet needs to be replaced? Almost a statement over a question, and get them to say, yeah, we've been wanting to replace it, blah, blah, blah. Whatever it is, I just need to get them to agree that when I mark it down, I'm marking it down for a reason. I never conceal why I'm marking it down. I want them to be able to say, can I see that? I'm not going to keep it from them. I want them to look at it. The form is in red on purpose, which is, the red from subliminal motivation perspective is a negative number. We all know that if you have, if your checkbook's red, that means you don't have any money in it. And so I'm marking these things down, getting the seller to agree. As I look in the hallway is going to be the one room that tells you a lot about how the people interact with one another. Because the hallway is where the bedroom doors are, the bathroom door is, and typically a hall closet. And you'll notice on some of the houses that we buy and look at that there'll be things like holes in the wall and or scrapes in the plaster or the paint, or light fixtures that are hanging or dangling down, or smoke detectors that have been removed. Those kinds of things. We can't overlook those things. However, sometimes we have to be real gentle with the seller when we notice that there's a hole in the wall about shoulder height, and it's the size of like a large orange or apple. Well, I know that's because someone just put their hand in the wall, hit the wall, put their hand through it. But I'm not going to say someone been hitting the wall, because that would be kind of rude. Everybody knows when they've hit the wall and there's signs of it. I'm just going to go over there and put my hand in the wall. I'm going to look at my hand. I'm going to make a fist out of it. I'm going to put it in the hole, and it fits. It must, it must be what it's from. And the sellers will actually offer, yeah, I did that the other day, kind of thing. And we don't want to judge people, but we have to point out what we have to fix. Or if the light is dangling, and tap it, make it jingle, and point it out. If the smoke detector is there, ask them, is this the only smoke detector that's not in the house? Mark everything down on your pad. So we go through the hall, we see the scrapes, we notice it has to be painted. We say, is that the ugliest paint job, the uglier paint job, the ugly, kind of thing? And we mark it down, and then we go into the bedroom. Before you enter any rooms, most of the rooms will have closed doors. You always want to make sure that it's okay to open the door. Now, we're leading the inspection. They're not leading us. They're not showing us the house. We're showing ourselves the house with them with us. So typically we're going to open up the door ourselves. So we always want to say, can I open up the door? So many times has someone been sleeping in bed. Yeah, but Susie's in there in bed. Well, you have to ask yourself, do you go into a house or into a bedroom where Susie's sleeping in bed or not? Well, I'm there to buy a house. They knew I was going to be there. I called to confirm the appointment, so they knew I was absolutely going to be there. They've seen me outside talking to the neighbors. They could have woken up Susie. They could have got her out of bed. So if Susie's going to sleep, shame on Susie, kind of thing. I'm not going to be rude and say anything about it, but let's face it. People live how they live, and I'm not going to pass judgment. So I'm going to open up the door after I've asked. They said yes. I'm going to go over to the sliding doors for the closet. Most of them will be either sliding doors or accordion doors. Really, really, really important that you slide them and open them. Just because they're closed doesn't mean they closed easily. Someone could have, like a half an hour before you got there, they could have just every effort in their body to get that thing closed. Well, we need to be able to slide them open and shut. And this is where you're going to start creating value on repairs and things. Because I know adjusting a sliding door is pretty simple. They can be complicated, but they're pretty simple in general. But it's still, I'm going to magnify it. And then I'm going to look inside of it. And one of the things that we're looking for when we look inside closets, which are typically packed full of stuff, is where animals might be living, like rodents, like mice and those kinds of things. But we want to look at the ceiling, because in a bedroom ceiling or a hall ceiling that maybe have had water damage, they may have painted that, they may have fixed that, no big deal. And so we won't notice it. But in a bedroom closet or a hall closet, typically people don't go to that extreme of painting over it and fixing those things. So you got to look up there, see if there's any water damage. You want to make sure that see if there's any rodents. Sometimes people will have taken a piece of carpet out of the closet to put in the hallway or in a bedroom. We need to make sure that the carpet extends or the floor covering extends all the way through, because if not, we're going to have to do that ourselves, and that's going to be a cost, and we have to reduce that from the sales price. So we're doing that. We're always go over, pull back those shades, pull up that mini blind, open those drapes, whatever it is, make sure that works, because anything that's attached to the walls is part of the house, unless it's put on the contract that it isn't. So if you're in a bedroom and it's got matching bedspreads to curtains, those curtains remain unless you say they don't remain in your agreement. So if it's not dictated that they don't, they're not included, they're included. So we want to make sure that everything works right. definitely want to note down that if it's orange wall cover, paint or wallpaper, whatever it is, we have to take everything back to normal. So we have to mark all this stuff down, and it's okay. People that have blue rooms or green rooms, they know that it has to be painted back to white or off white. Just bring it up. So it looks like we're gonna have to paint this room. They're going to agree with you, and you just mark it down and associate a cost to it. But when you get over to the windows after you open up the drapes, open up that window. Make sure it slides up, back and forth or up and down. Make sure that it latches. Make sure that it's lockable. Make sure that if it had 2 panes, that it still has 2 panes, or make sure that it doesn't have any cracks in it, because things that we don't see right now, and then that we agree to a price on, those are going to cost us a bucket load of money, and we don't want it to cost us any money. So we have to find everything. So a thorough investigation is important. So now I'm done with that bedroom. I'm going to come out. Typically, I'm going to have a bathroom between that bedroom and another bedroom. So I'm going to, again, it's probably going to be closed. I'm going to make sure I can go inside of it. And this time, one of the things that I'm going to be conscientious about are leaks and mold. So leaks you can see because you'll see, like, if you open up the cabinet door underneath the sink, you're going to see that the plywood or the particle board that they made the cabinet bottom out of, if the sink's been leaking, it's going to have swell marks or black marks from water being there. If you think it may have a leak, but you're not sure, like maybe it's an old leak but not a new leak, take some tissue paper or toilet paper or whatever, wad it up and put it underneath the P-trap. The P-trap is that U-shaped thing on the sink drain. Put it underneath that, turn the water on. Let it run, let it run, let it run, let it run. Make sure the hot water goes on. Always want to make sure you check the hot water and that it can stay throughout the inspection. So stay on. So turn cold, turn hot, let it run. And then while you're in there, as you're inspecting the rest of the bathroom, plug the sink. So put the stopper in or pull up on the stopper knob and start having the water rest in the sink. And that'll help you determine if there's a leak or not, because if that tissue paper starts getting wet, then you know you have a leak and you have to fix it. If you don't have a leak, you may still have to address the signs of a leak from before, but at least you don't have to replace plumbing, those kinds of things. So we're still in the bathroom. We're opening up all the cabinet drawers, pulling them out, making sure that they have backs on them. Believe it or not, if you don't pull that cabinet drawer, that holds the toothpaste, toothbrush, those kinds of things, and see that it doesn't have a back to it, you're going to have to replace a cabinet drawer. And the worst thing that you want to do is if you have a cabinet door or drawer front that's damaged or missing, that's the ugliest thing. Those things are expensive because it's almost impossible to buy one that matches exactly everything else. And if you could, it's almost impossible to get the stain to match and the finish to match. It's going to look like it's a repair. And on most times, because it looks so horrible and it looks like a repair, you're going to replace all the front of the cabinets kind of thing. Not a lot of them, but you are. You're still in the bathroom. You're shaking the toilet, making sure that the toilet, is bolted down to the floor with 2 bolts, one on each side. You're making sure that it's sturdy and stable. You're making sure that the toilet bowl tank lid is not cracked or broken. You're making sure that the flusher knob is attached and working correctly. You're making sure that there's caulking around the base of the toilet, and that if it's like a vinyl floor, that the vinyl isn't green around the toilet, and that's caused by moisture and mold. What happens is when they lay that linoleum floor, there's a hole in the concrete. That's where the sewer goes, and they lay that around, and then they place that toilet on top of that with a wax ring. And if people don't change their wax rings enough, or what have you, that wax ring could deteriorate over time, and then sewage can start, instead of going completely straight down, it can go sideways as well. And then we start having that leak underneath the linoleum, which then turns that linoleum a different color. So we will look for those kinds of things. If most bathrooms will have either an exhaust fan or a window that goes outside. So if it has a window, you want to make sure it's up, it slides up and down. Is it the right kind of window kind of thing? If it's a ceiling, not a ceiling fan, but a exhaust fan. An exhaust fan, one of the ways to tell if an exhaust fan works is if you take like a couple pieces of tissue and you put it up there on the exhaust fan, because exhaust is pulling air out of the room. Does it hold the tissue paper up against it? If it doesn't, it's probably going to have to be replaced because it's not drawing any air out of the room. So just note that. And if the tissue paper falls back down to the ground, You know it's not working. And the easiest way, so you put it up there, you turn the fan on, you put it up there, and you let the fan try to suck the tissue paper into the attic, through the exhaust vents, and then turn the fan off. The tissue paper should fall down, and you want to make sure you turn the fan off, because that way you know that the tissue paper just wasn't stuck up there by accident. And now we're looking at the ceiling for the black spots of mold in the shower or the bathtub area. Are tiles missing in the bathtub? Are the handles working? You're turning the cold and the hot water on. You're also checking the shower knob, the faucet, to make sure the shower works as well. So you have the tub, and some tubs are tub showers, and you're doing that. And then there's typically like a cabinet above the toilet area, and you want to make sure that those doors and everything there works fine. Sometimes you're going to have an exterior door from the bathroom outside. In this case, unlock it, but do not open it. So if you have a door that leads outside, unlock it, but don't open it. So you've done your inspection there. Now you're going to go to the next bedroom, and you're going to do that inspection there as well. So the same way you did the other bedroom. Now you have the master bedroom typically, because it's typically a 3-bedroom, sometimes 4, and all the bedrooms, you inspect them the same. And so you're going to go in the master bedroom. You're going to make sure you have permission to go in the master bedroom. Now's where you're starting to look at some things like, does this make sense? Is this a big enough master bedroom? Is it more like just a Jack and Jill room and not really a master? And see how the layout works. Is the bed too big? Is the room big enough for king size? You're going to start making some notes. And again, you're looking for things you got to paint. Is the carpet rolling? Does it have to be stretched? Does it have to be replaced? Do the light fixtures, how old are the switch plates? Are they the old, they're so old they turned yellow? Or are they the old brown ones? Do you have to replace everything? Are there ceiling fans? Are there ceiling fans cheap ones, expensive ones? Have they been cleaned? Typically, if you look at a ceiling fan in a house and it has like an inch of dust on top of the blade, you kind of know that we have not so tidy people that live in the house and own it. So now we're making our way back to into the master bedroom, bathroom. And typically somewhere in the master bedroom, there's going to be an exit door going in the backyard. And again, we're going to unlock the door. We're going to confirm that there's no cracks in the window and the drapes work and all that. We're going to unlock the door. We're not going to open it. And then, once we unlock it, then we're going to proceed into the master bath. And we're going to inspect it the same way we inspected the other bathroom. So we're making sure the toilet doesn't wobble, that the sink doesn't leak, the shower heads are working, everything gets hot, all that kind of thing. But you're also inspecting it for, is this reasonable? Is the layout big enough? Is it, is it small? Because the two things in a house that have the most opinion placed upon them is the kitchen and the master bedroom and bathroom. So you want to make sure your master bedroom and bathroom, if it's ugly or has some obsolescence, you just need to know that so you can reduce the sales price that you're going to offer the seller, or the seller's going to offer you and you're going to accept. And same way with the kitchen. So now you've gone through the hallway, the bedrooms, the bathroom, the master bedroom. You have unlocked exterior doors. You're walking back down the hallway, looking up, looking in the middle, looking down. So you're always inspecting. It's not like you're standing there and having conversation unless you need to. So you're always looking at things and you're making notes and asking the seller and making sure they agree. And now you're on the other side of the house. And on the other side of the house is the garage we spoke about. But it's typically also the kitchen area, the dining room kind of thing, and maybe a second living room, family room area. So let's go in the kitchen. We're going to again look at all the cabinets, pull all the drawers out, look in all the cupboards, making sure that there aren't any shelvings that's missing, any doors that are missing, any drawer fronts are missing, the door pulls are correct, they're on, they're not mix match, they're not hodgepodge. As you look at that refrigerator area, is that refrigerator a small refrigerator area, or is it a regular refrigerator area, or is it a larger than refrigerator area? Also look on the side of the refrigerator. You will learn so much about a person's cleanliness by looking at the side of the refrigerator. Is there like paper bags from years past? Do you see rat droppings? Do you see cockroaches on the side? Whatever it is, that's where all the grime, the grit, the gross stuff of a kitchen settles and goes to, because as people sweep around, and no one cleans behind the refrigerator, go pull your refrigerator out if you question that. We want to look for all those things. We want to look for signs. We want to look for strange paint colors, because we're all going to have to fix those things. And as we find those things we have to fix, naturally we have to point out to the seller and let them agree that, yes, we're going to have to fix this thing. And so now we're going to go from the kitchen. So we've checked the stove, turn the stove on, turn the oven on, put it up to 300, turn all the burners on, make sure everything lights correctly. Good indications that the stovetop doesn't light is, if it's gas and there's got a clicker there, well, stoves should light themselves. You want to make sure that if it's an electric stovetop that you can see get hot, you don't have to put your hand down there, you can see red. And the oven that gets up to 300 degrees, you don't have to have a thermometer with you. You can kind of tell if it's, in 10 minutes it's going to get up there. A microwave, if it's a countertop microwave, like a little portable one, that goes with the cellar. If it's one that's above the stove top or the stove area, that's gonna stay. You're gonna run the dishwasher, and again on the dishwasher, that's where you're gonna take some paper towels and lay them underneath that. It's typically like a black 3-inch plate that you can kind of slide some paper towels in. And as you run that dishwasher, if those paper towels get wet, that means you have a dishwasher leak. It's not hard to fix. It's just something that you have to concern yourself with when you buy the house and you place value on the repairs. So now we're in the family room, the second living room, whatever you want to call it, and we're doing the same thing that we kind of did with the bedroom. Maybe this one has a fireplace. You don't want to like get inside. You don't want to be Santa Claus and get inside the fireplace, but you do want to look inside it. Is it black and just never been cleaned before? Because you're gonna have to clean the fireplace because we're gonna have to get a chimney cert on it. And so we got to look for those things. Look for windows. Are the window coverings the work fine? Do they have to be replaced because they're just gosh awful ugly? Are they fine? Are the windows cracked? Do they have both panes of glass, or the single pane, is it still there? If there's shutters, do they all open up and close correctly? We take the time. This whole inspection takes 20 minutes maybe, but during that 20-minute period, man, I get to say things to the seller and to start negotiating and tell them why my program's great. This is great 20 minutes worth of stuff we're going to do. So, I just love it. I get to look at the house, I get to find out what's wrong with it, and I get to talk to the seller and make a deal. So now I've kind of done that room. I've looked at the fireplace, I've looked at the window coverings, I made sure the ceiling fan works, looked at the light switch covers. Do they have to be replaced because they're yellow now, or whatever fashion? The carpet, is it old shag carpet, where they have that 4-inch shag stuff you got to replace, or is it so thin that you can see through it? You got to make all these determinations at your inspection. It's kind of hard to do that later. And so now you typically in this room or in your kitchen area, you're going to have an exterior door. You're going to unlock that door. You do not open it. So you unlock the door. You leave it shut. You just unlock it. You've checked all the windows. You've done all these things. Now you're going to go in your garage. And however you want to get to your garage. Well, sometimes they're off the living room. Sometimes they're off the kitchen. Whatever. Can I go in the garage? Yes. So now you're going to go in the garage. You're looking for things like, did they penetrate the garage ceiling and put storage in the attic, which in some areas null and voids the safety, the fire safety, because if there's a fire in the garage, there's rules that the fire has to be maintained in the garage for so many minutes so people in the house can get out of the house. Are there cabinets? Do the cabinets work right? The laundry facilities, if they're in the garage, are there signs of things that have gone wrong? Is the ceiling sheetrocked or plastered? Is it open? If it's open, can you see through the roofing kind of thing? Because sometimes you can look through and see sky, and you want to make notes of all those kinds of things. All those little things. Do they have holes in the walls? Do they have things attached to the walls? Some people will go, man, I just love all this stuff I built. Well, gosh, I got to throw it all away. I got to spend all my money taking it all down. And you just got to point it out and know that there's costs there to the seller. And there's typically always a garage side door to the backyard. But before we go there, we're going to open up the garage door. If it's remote controlled, there's always going to be a remote control switch, coming out of the kitchen or coming out of the living room the first, little bit, so you can open up the garage door. We want to make sure that thing goes up, that goes down, it stops. Are the sensors at the bottom, the child safety sensors, so it doesn't harm someone? Are all those things working? All these little things that you have to do. Look at the water heater. Does it have 2 straps on it for in case there's issues with it falling over because of earthquakes or tornadoes or whatever? Is it strapped appropriately? Do you see any signs of moisture around the water heater? Can you tell that it's so old, it's rusting out, and you've got to replace it? Is it too small? You may have noticed that when you turned on the hot water for all the sinks. Did the hot water stay hot enough by the time you got in the kitchen? Because you were in the bathroom, then you were in the master bathroom, and now you're in the kitchen. When you turned it on, did it stay hot? Is it too small in the garage? Now you've done all this kind of stuff, and now you're ready to go in the backyard. Remember, you've unlocked all of the doors, but you've not opened any of them. Now is the first time you ask the seller, can you open this door? And they're going to go, why? Well, I don't know if you have any dogs. I don't know if you have any animals, any beasts back there. And folks, you may be the best dog lover in the world, and that dog may not look like anything to you. Like my little Chihuahua, oh my gosh, she's so ferocious sometimes, and she's just this little cute little thing, nothing size. And boy, you got to be really conscientious of, the animals that people have in the backyard, because animals are protectors. They're going to protect the seller. The reason you don't want to be the first one through that door is they don't see the seller. They see the seller, they know the seller's with you, it's okay. You're the first one through the door. They're going to come unglued when they see you come through the door, which is why you don't open the doors from inside the house. So now we're in the backyard. Typically down the garage side is where the gate is to the backyard from the front yard. So open the gate, make sure it swings on its own, or does the fence like tilt, wobble side to side when the gate's open because the post is rotted out? Does it latch properly? Can it be locked? Are pickets missing? Are they broken? Whatever those things are, you're going to start noticing them. As you walk down from back, walk back into the backyard from the gate, is the fence perpendicular or is it leaning? Again, are the neighbor's plants overgrowing your yard, or is your potential plants overgrowing their yard? Is the grass correct? Is there no grass at all? You're inspecting now the backyard for these items. You're going to go now to walk onto the patio. And if it's a covered patio, you're going to look up. Can you see the sky from underneath the patio? What kind of roofing material is it? Does it look like it's fine? Now you're going to go over to that sliding glass door, that door that was in the living room that you opened from the inside. Slide that thing open. Make sure it closes okay. Make sure, reach in. Make sure the light switch turns on the exterior light, that there's actually an exterior light, not one that's hanging or something like that. If there's exterior ceiling fans, turn those on. Make sure that they're working correctly. If there's a mist system for water, turn that thing on. Find that thing. Now from the patio, we're going to walk out to as far away as we can reasonably so we can see the top of the house. We saw the top of the house in the beginning as we walked up, and we would have noticed, the roofing is curling or it needs replacing. Well, now we're in the backyard, and the way sun sets and rises and what have you, earth rotation, the back side of the roof could be more damaged than the front side, or one side over than the other side. So now we want to look at the top of the roof, but it's also where they put all of the air conditioning and heating units in some areas. It's where they put all the pipes that go through your roof. We want to look at all the flashing, all that kind of stuff. Make sure that's all caulked and can get it to your roof cert, because at some point we're going to have to supply that, or someone's going to have to supply that, and we have to compensate for it if in fact we have to pay for it inside of our price to our seller. So now we've looked at the landscaping. If you want, you can walk back into the garage, turn your landscaping sprinklers on. I don't typically do that, but however you could. And now I'm walking down the other side of the house, which is typically where if you have on the ground air conditioning units or condensers or those kinds of things, that'll be there, or storage little buildings, whatever. And storage buildings are part of the land, so those are going to stay unless you want them to go. If there's any old cars or anything like that, you want to make sure that you tell the seller they have to take that stuff. So now walk back down this other side. You're looking for the same thing you looked on the other side, but it doesn't have a gate. So now you're walking all the way back around, and you can either enter the house through the door from the patio, or you can go all the way back around and enter it from where you came from. I kind of like going all the way back around, so I get one more trip of inspection. So anything that I didn't notice the first time, I can now kind of re-inspect or re-visualize as I go through. I'm not going to re-inspect the rest of the house. I've done enough work. And from there, I've done an inspection on the house. Now, is it a certified house inspection? Absolutely not. Is it a certified contractor certification? I can guarantee this house is in perfect condition? Absolutely not. What this is a guideline and a way for you to determine the repairs that you have to make, or someone has to make, to the property when it's ultimately resold or financed through a lender. And so we have to mitigate the cost of those with a reduced sales price from our seller. And so we have to point them out to the seller. So, 15, 20 minutes, great time because I get to negotiate with the seller. I get to start the cycle. I've seen it. They've agreed to it. I've written it down on my ugliest worksheet. They've agreed to the costs. They've agreed to everything. And now I can say, thank you for showing me your house. Can we go ahead and sit at the kitchen table so we can agree on a price today? So I'm going to go sit on the kitchen table. I hope it's round. Most kitchen tables are round. Easier to sit at a kitchen table that's round than a table that's square, because a table that's square is almost like the school teacher approach, where someone's an authority, someone isn't, or the principal's office. Round table, everybody is equal, and so much easier to negotiate on a round table. And I don't care if it has stuff on it. People pile stuff on their kitchen tables. It's okay. I don't really care, But I'm in the kitchen. I can still glance around to see if the tile on the counters or the Formica on the counters or the granite on the counters or whatever it is on the counters is all working. I can start noticing these things. People are comfortable in their kitchens. It's a crazy thing. If they don't have a kitchen table, some houses won't have a kitchen table. I'm going to go out and I'm going to sit on the couch, not in a chair. It's really weird things about a chair. Chairs are owned items. Like you can guarantee to yourself that if there's a chair in the living room, that's someone's chair. Someone owns that. Now I know that everything in the house someone owns. What I mean by that is that's someone's domain. It's like that's why you don't park in the driveway, because that's where they park, or that's why you don't park in front of the house, because it's theirs. Sit on the couch. That's where guests sit, and start negotiating. But without doing this, you're only guessing at what has to be done. This is a fast, easy way, step by step, what to do, how to inspect a house, so you know the values. My ugliest worksheet lays out all the prices for each individual item in a house. Real easy to use. Thanks so much. I've enjoyed this. Talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Michael Quarles Real Estate Show. Get more info and stay in touch at michaelquarles.com.